Radhe Radhe, a spiritual good morning to one and all on Saturday, 25th March 2023. In this video, this is for a recap discussion of our Bhagavad Gita recitation session for today, where we are in the continuing journey of chapter 8. So along with me, here is Mummy.
Radhe Radhe.
Bringing up the screen, we covered chapter 8, verses 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So first up, we'll get started with a round of recitation of all these verses.
Chapter 8, verse 12. Sarvadvarani sanyamya mano hridi niruddhya cha murdhanyadhayatmanah pranam asthito yoga dharana. Om iti ek aksharam brahma Vyaharan mam anusmaran Yaf prayati tyajan deham Sayati paramam gatim Ananya cheta satatam Yo mam smarati nityashaha Tasyaham sulabhav partha Nityayuktasya yoginaha Mam upetya punarjanma Dukkhalayam ashashvatam Napnuvanti mahatmanaha Sansiddhim paramam gataha Abrahma bhuvana lokaha punar avartinorjuna mam upetya tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. So let's see one word each from verse 12 onwards. From verse 12, let's look at the word Sarvadvarani. That means all gates. We have learnt about 9 gates in the body. So we need to control all the sensory organs. Chapter 8, verse 13, the word I want you to look at is Om. It seems very common, but we have to understand that this is the sacred syllable representing the formless aspect of God. From verse 14, kindly look at Ananya Chetaha. Ananya Chetaha means without deviation of the mind. Sri Krishna is saying, do exclusive devotion. Don't deviate. Verse 15, let's learn this word upetya. This is a synonym which we have learned earlier also, but this means having attained. And verse number 16, an important word is punha avartinaha. That means subject to rebirth. So over to you, Gagan.
All right, thank you, Mummy. Let's look at a brief run through of the explanation for all these 5 verses. Chapter 8, verse 12, the catchphrase here is closed door mind-heart meeting. As Sri Krishna says, and as Swamiji describes in the commentary, we would like a union between the mind and the heart. Closed door, as Mummy said, 9 gates to the body. We would like to close them, meaning restrict the senses from seeking their outward material tendencies. So instead, you have that control over the senses and you lock the mind and with the heart, you channel that energy towards devotion towards the Lord who is enthroned in our heart, and then have that connect, that increase in that consciousness, that union with God. Chapter 8, verse 13, very, very short catchphrase, but essential. Home, which encompasses Om, in the middle. So as Sri Krishna says, if one can chant that syllable Om while departing the body, one can certainly attain the supreme goal, which is union with Sri Krishna. We learned that, Om is that sacred syllable, as Mummy said, the sound manifestation of Brahman. So in Ashtanga Yoga, meditation is typically performed by chanting Om. A Bhakti Yoga version of that, even sweeter, is to in fact chant the personal names of God, like Radha, like Krishna, and so on. So you can look back at the commentary, but Swamiji relates this with an analogy of a baby in the womb versus a baby in the lap. A baby in the lap is certainly much more sweeter, and so that is the inspiration for Bhakti Yoga. Chapter 8, verse 14, easy squeezy. Here we're talking about squeezy in terms of absorption. A sponge can absorb a lot, squeeze it out, but you really want to soak in all of our devotion, having that channeled towards God. And here, easy is something that Sri Krishna says that he is easily attainable. Interestingly, this is the only verse in the Bhagavad Gita where Sri Krishna says that he is easily attainable. So the way to do that is to, of course, listen to his instructions, which is to always have exclusive devotion towards him. As we often see in classes and Swamiji's lectures, that is done by meditating upon the names, forms, virtues, pastimes, abodes, and associates of God. With that, we can hope to have exclusive devotion, and then, as Sri Krishna says, easily attain him. Chapter 8, verse 15, misery no more. We learn here that once you are liberated from this world, we attain the supreme goal, the supreme destination. In God's world, God's abode, there is no longer the cycle of birth and death. That being said, Swamiji explains in the commentary that misery, at least in this present lifetime, in this material world, is nonetheless important for our progress. We go through ups and downs and hurdles, trials and tribulations, but all those are to help us progress spiritually. Therefore, in fact, helping us channel it towards exclusive devotion in the direction of God. Chapter 8, verse 16, finally, strong statement as a catchphrase, death of rebirth. But in fact, it's a strong statement that Sri Krishna makes, that beyond even this world, in fact, in all the 14 worlds, all the way up to Brahma's abode, Brahmalok, there is the cycle of birth and death. But in God's abode, Golok, etc., there is no more rebirth. So when one gets to finally have that union with God, we are actually given a divine body, and then we're always just involved in Sri Krishna's pastimes. There is no more birth, death, or rebirth. In certain cases, certain great saints and prophets may descend upon earth to assist God with his own divine leelas and pastimes, but for all of us who eventually attain that final destination, there is no more rebirth. That is the essence and takeaway for these 5 verses covered today in chapter 8. We shall once more listen to their rendition, again starting from chapter 8, verse 12.
Thank you, Gagan. Sarvadvarani sanyamya manohridi niruddhya cha मूर्धन्याधायात्मनः प्राणम् आस्थितो योगधारणा ॐ इति एकाक्षरं ब्रह्म व्याहरन् माम् अनुस्मरन् यः प्रयाति त्यजन् देहं स याति परमां गतिम् अनन्यचेता सततं यो मां स्मरति नित्यशः तस्याहं सुलभः पार्थ नित्ययुक्तस्य योगिनः मामुपेत्य पुनर्जन्म दुःखालयम् अशाश्वतम् नाप्नुवन्ति महात्मानः संसिद्धिं परमां गताः Abrahma bhuvanalokaha punar avartinorjuna mam upetya tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. So hope that helps all of you to revise the recitation of the verses. Over to you, Gagan.
Yeah, thank you, Mummy. And just a quick reminder that the final thing we covered in class today was we were all able to chant silently at our own screens to Mahishasur Mardini Stotram. Very, very divine, difficult stotram, lengthy, but absolutely appropriate for this season of Navratri, today being the fourth day. And, just brings a lot of divine sentiments. And the more you hear it, even try to practice a few words, it does bring out a lot of strength and a lot of respect and appreciation for all the virtues of Mata that are presented in that stotram. So that is something we covered in class as well. You're welcome to check out the link for it as well and practice whenever you can. With that, we look forward to seeing you all next Saturday, 1st April 2023, for Bhagavad Gita Recitation again, Chapter 8, continuing classes. Hopefully before that, also for Bhagavad Gita study. Again, happy Navratri once again, and happy learning and journeys. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, everybody. And yes, happy Navratri. Today is the fourth Navratra of Mata Kushmanda, the fourth form of Devi Ma, 9 out of the 9 forms. And Kushmanda Ma, she lives in the solar system. And just with a little laughter and mand muskan, a beautiful smile, she created this universe. So thank you all. A happy Navratri and Radhe Radhe.